So first, if we take a look at the top left example here, if you're looking to evaluate this function at a given x value, right, the way that this could be written is it might specifically say at x equals -2, but it might also use function notation to represent that same information. So it might say it wants you to evaluate the f function for this value -2. Okay, those mean the same things. Okay, and so what you're going to do is you're going to take whatever the input value is, in this case -2, and you're going to replace that everywhere there's a placeholder in your function. Okay, the placeholders of your function are the variables. So you're going to take 9 times -2 squared plus 4 times -2. Notice you took whatever your input was, and you replaced every variable with that input, and then you're going to evaluate the result. So -2 squared is what? 4 times 9 is 36, plus 4 times the -2 is -8. 36 minus 8 gives you your answer, 28. Okay. Now, I want to show you how you would do this with your calculator. There's a couple different ways that that can happen. Okay, so one way we've already talked about. Anybody have any idea of how we can evaluate this on our calculators? Okay, so on this one, we won't necessarily use solve function because you don't know, like it's not set equal to an actual value. Although, if you use the solve, would you say y equals 9 times the -2 squared? Okay, so you can use the solve feature if you want to represent it that way. I'm going to show a couple different ways. One is the width key, right? We've talked about the width key before. The width key is this vertical bar. So one way you can evaluate a function is you can type that function exactly as it appears. So 9x squared plus 4x. We can use the width key and then identify what we want x to be. Let x equal -2. And once we hit enter, it evaluates that, and we see our output is 28. Okay. Now, because we're introducing function notation, I'm going to show you how you can use function notation to evaluate this as well. Okay. So on your TI-89s, you can write in a function or an equation for y going to this y editor. The y editor is located when you hit diamond F1, where it says y equals. Okay, and what you can do is you can go into one of the y's. Again, they're y1, y2, y3, and so on. And you can type in the equation exactly as it appears there. So 9x squared plus 4x. Hit enter. So what this now means is the calculator now knows that y1 represents this equation. So if we go back to our home screen, if I just want to pull up that equation, I can type in y1 of x. This is function notation, right? We're just bringing in our y1 function for x, and when I hit enter, it gives me the equation exactly as I wrote it. If I want to evaluate it for a specific number, what I can do is I can use function notation, plug in the -2 like I did right here, f of -2. In this case, it's y1 of -2. And when I hit enter, it evaluates that function y1 with all the x's or inputs being the number in parentheses. And you see, once again, you get your 28. Okay. If you're finding the ordered pair that relates to this, again, if you know that y1 of -2 is equal to 28, then an input of -2 corresponds to an output of 28. And we see that here as well. This would be the ordered pair that represents the solution, but the actual solution, when you evaluate, if you do that. Okay. So if you take your g of 4, again, that's just the way to express it's this function with x equaling 4. So 20 minus 4 is 16. The square root of 16 is 4. Okay, so it should be something that you could probably do with mental calculation. I am going to show you how to do it on the calculator again, just to go through that one more time. So if I hit my y editor, diamond F1, and I'm just going to enter this in the second y. You can replace the first y if you want. It's completely up to you. But I'm just going to show you that you can do multiple equations here as well. So if I took the square root of 20 minus x, close that off and hit enter. So now my g function here, notice you can use different letters. The f doesn't stand for function. The f is just some variable. Usually it's in the middle of the alphabet. Okay, F of, G of, H of are the most common ones, but you might see like J and K's. Okay, but you could use any letter like this. You can see they're using Y2. Okay, but if I plug that in for my Y2, what I can do to evaluate this is I can use Y2 of 4, and when I type that into my calculator, so Y2 of 4, it's going to take the function that I've stored in the Y2 of my Y editor, and it's going to plug in 4 for every X, and it evaluates it, showing again that we got the value by hand correct as well.